Welcome once again to The Lost Signals Discusses Games and Gaming Culture, a pretentious, philosophical, pedantic podcast where we focus on various aspects of video games as well as other issues and topics within gaming in general. Hello there, welcome back to Lost Signals Games and Gaming Culture. I'm your host, Scott Thurlow, and I'm here tonight with Rich Perry.
What's up?
Jonathan Ianmanzer.
My commentary is going to cost you $2.99.
Indeed, and Stephen Amosi.
Aloha.
And for an extra $10.99 to upgrade to gold, we'll come to your fucking house and do the episode there. So, perhaps you've gathered that tonight we'll be discussing microtransactions and perhaps loot boxes as well as sort of like a subdivision of them in games and so forth, which has become somewhat of, I would say in the past year, it's been a bigger hot button topic, if not the one of the industry, because of a couple big examples, Battlefront 2, of course, and others. But, you know, just like sort of how they've been, I would say, forced into games, like shoved in our faces as gamers, as consumers, and what the industry is like trying to defend them, and like how they're trying to defend them, even though I think they're somewhat indefensible to a degree. But yeah, we'll just talk about, basically going to bitch about microtransactions. Don't get me wrong, that's about to happen.
Yeah.
But I think we'll raise some legitimate points and some points that other critics and consumers have had about them, and you know how they are, again, integrated within games.
The thing I don't understand is, why do you need them for console games?
Well, that's, of course, everyone's big question. Really? Like,
I was going to say, my question is, who outside of like people that make money off of games is defending?
Is for them, yeah, of course.
No one wants this shit.
May I make a defense of microtransactions?
I was hoping you would.
You can try.
It's not so much microtransactions, but the economics of gaming. Back when I was growing up and you would play PC games, you'd pay extra for DLCs, and they'd be
like levels,
generally
sure,
larger. And the thing is, I'm willing to award more money to a developer who does a good job, who's providing extra content. And I think that adding those like after initial purchases can have a role in the thing. Do they overdo it? Certainly. Do they make you pay for things that you don't need? Certainly. And some of the worst ones hinder you from playing a game until you invest a lot of money.
Or make it unbalanced, really.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I get that. But basically, you just outlined DLCs, which are separate, which are not microtransactions.
No, but you said economics in general. So I'm just saying that there is a line between microtransactions.
That's completely valid. And yeah, I'll agree with that largely. It's just that the microtransaction things like, I'm not opposed to things like they're like cosmetic, we'll say, right? Oh, you want a new skin or a new uniform, or like the hats from Team Fortress and all that shit, like whatever. That's fine, I guess. But it's still like a dig at. Here's the issue, the core issue to me. I wasn't necessarily going to do like a whole history of them, but certainly they started in free to play games. So that's in that economy, right? There's no upfront cost to it. You get the game, download it, and then if you want to like get more resources or whatever, like, oh, I'm out of gold, I'm out of whatever the fuck X resources in a given game, pay $5 and you'll get like a whole, you know, refill it, like a new bundle of them or whatever. But for AAA titles, for a $60 game that I'm already paying $60 for, now they want a nickel and dime. It's like, hey, $2, get a new gun, or like again a reskin of a gun or whatever. Like, it just seems unnecessary. They just are trying to dig more money out of the consumer because they don't want some of the money. They want all the fucking money they could never try to get.
So the last couple of Batman games have been really egregious about that.
I agree with that. I've noticed that. Yes, for sure.
Was it the DLC that are actual like extensions of the game or a game in their own right? Like I can understand.
Like the Catwoman stuff?
Yeah.
That stuff is fine.
And so the Batgirl one, the Red Hood one is like the first time I actually regretted spending money. It was just like 3 levels.
It was short.
And no story.
Yeah, that's true. It was almost like just like almost a challenge level, not quite
exactly.
Like,
it was like 3 challenge maps, no story.
That's true. But yeah, it just grates on me because, and also I guess it's sort of tied into pre-order culture, which is like used to be one of the bigger things. Where like, oh, if I pre-order, then I get like a pack of like, again, a different kind of skin or an alternate whatever.
Yeah, but now
or a couple extra resources to start off with. Like I know Dead Space definitely did that. Deus Ex even did it as well.
Yeah, now half the time all you have to do is just wait a few months and they'll just sell it to you anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's not exactly that, but like you mentioned free-to-play games and where it originated. Yeah. And even in those games, like I find that like I'm not against free-to-play games trying
In
to
theory.
make money, right? But like, I wish that they wouldn't call themselves free to play games because to be actually like good at the game, you have to spend money. So it's
That is true.
Actually, may I give an example of one done very well? So I used to actually subscribe to Lord of the Rings Online and transferred over to free-to-play game. And so in order to move to the next area, you could either pay to move to the next area, or you could 100%
Or grind it
the
out,
previous
essentially.
area. No, there's no grinding necessarily involved. There'd be like challenges like kill 10 of this enemy or 50 of this enemy. So yeah, and grinding in that sense, but it's never about you just waiting there killing things in order to move to the next thing. No, you just would have to like do all the missions,
Just do
all
more of the
side
stuff.
missions,
Okay, fair enough.
everything. And then you would accumulate enough points to move on to the next section. So it was free to play, but it was pay to accelerate in a sense.
Which is, again, a very fine line. Like, in that instance, you're saying you thought it was done well, they integrated it fine, and it was like, it wasn't unfair or unbalanced in any way. However, you can easily fall into that trap, and I think more often than not, they do, especially recently. So sure, like, we'll get to the Battlefront thing in a second, because I know Rich and I have a bunch to say about it, but that was like one of the big like blow-up points because of the way they did it. But even so, like, other free-to-play games would do the same thing in the sense that, like, yeah, either you pay X amount to advance or get, again, more resources, or you wait, like, an arbitrary amount, whatever the developers are going to make you wait for, right? So then you can't, if you're not going to pay, then you're just sitting there like, well, I guess I'll check in tomorrow because nothing's going to reset or whatever. Like, I can't advance unless I want to pay to circumvent that. Yeah. So, like, again, that's a little iffy. Like, I get it that, yeah, that's like there's sort of the structure, at least of free-to-play games, but then it creeped in, like I was saying, to other games because other developers or publishers realized, or at least thought them, like, oh, we can get on this. We can dig more out of everybody.
Well, that's always that's always the thing. It's like, oh, is there money to be had here? Well, we're going to exploit the shit out of that. Like, as opposed to doing it like gently, right?
Yeah,
like,
but exactly the way they did it, the way it was just sort of like shoehorned into everything. In, like, I would say, again, whenever around Dead Space 3, like, that one in my mind stands out because it was like so egregious. There were so many of them. Again, you didn't need to do them, but they were just like, and it's almost like, you know how it's annoying when you're looking at a website or on your phone or whatever, and you get like ads flashing in your face? That's essentially what microtransactions are a lot of times, where it's just like, it ruins the immersion of the game. It like pops up everywhere, like treasure chest. Oh, you can't like lockpick it mechanically or whatever. Pop up, pay $2. You can unlock the treasure. Like, go fuck yourself, man.
Yeah, DCUO is getting really bad, or DC Universe Online is getting really bad with that.
Yeah.
Like, it got to I want to say last year was when they added the ability to pay to advance your character level. And like now it's at the point where you can like pay tokens to move different styles from one character over to another character that you have on the account.
Fuck you,
but
man.
they're like these huge, oh, pay this for this style. And it's like in the list. Like, you can't get rid of it. It's just like sitting there.
Yeah, it's intrusive, and they're just trying to like, hey, open your wallet. Hey, give us money. Hey. Like, all right, Christ.
And like, you can't do anything past, it's hard enough to get to level cap without paying anything whatsoever.
Bullshit,
Like, you have to like you pretty much have to at least get to like, not premium membership, but
whatever the level is.
Like, legendary is like the next step
whatever
down.
bullshit arbitrary like gateways they have.
You have to pay like you have to pay like at least like as low as like $2 or something. Just buy something, bump you with the legendary. Then they put a cap on the amount of in-game money that you can make. so you can't even buy new gear. You can't pay to repair your gear.
And that's when, like, it's obvious, like, they're meddling, like, they're stifling you because they're trying to steer you towards the microtransactions. And that's when it becomes grating to me and almost offensive, really.
Yeah. Most people are just like, fuck it, I'm just going to become a member. And
see, but that's the thing, right? It's a dirty psychological trick in a sense because it wears people down. You're like, all right, I do want to do this, but I don't want to pay. But at this point, I almost have to. So
actually,
so here's the money.
I think yesterday I was thinking about how much money I spent on that game, and I got super depressed.
Yeah, man. Like, I get it. And another big example, so I'll bring this one up. A game I liked, Shadow of War, Middle Earth. This is in the sequel. So the first one didn't have it. This one had a whole store. One of the core mechanics of that game is going around and recruiting orcs, like basically mind controlling them to your side. That's like a big thing, and you can have a whole army of them, but you need to spend the time to hunt them down and do it. Or go to the fucking shop where an orc himself will sell you other orcs for $5 or whatever it is.
That is some meta, like, really fucked up shit,
it's fucking retarded. Like, I'm sorry, but like, it really grates on me.
That is literally in-game slaving his own race away to you.
Exactly. So people pointed out, like, they went like, yo, there was memes everywhere about it, at least when it came out, because of that, and because it breaks it, and because it's just grating, and again, obtrusive because you are trying to play a game, or there's a whole screen, in your face, like, nudging you the whole time, like, hey, want to buy an orc? No, get out, stop trying to get me to buy an orc. I want to do it in-game as it was intended and meant to be.
Wow.
Man, it's so fucking dumb. And
all the implications of that are really fucked up to me.
Kind of, like...
like, you're paying real money to buy...
It's fantastic racism, I suppose, but...
slaves from a fucking person.
Virtual slaves.
Yeah, you're paying real money to buy virtual slaves.
Not only that, but...
From someone who is of the same race as those slaves. That is fucked up.
Not only that, but it breaks, again, like this, like the whole point of a lot of the game.
Microtransactions.
I understand you're...
I'm off on this whole...
They're offensive in many ways. At least in this instance, of course. But no, like, so things like that. So let's get to... Does anyone else have any other examples before I bring up the big one?
Go ahead, Ian.
No, I feel free to go.
Okay.
I don't think I have any.
All right, so so given all that, it was kind of like that for years, where you can sort of not work around them, but you can ignore them to the best you can. So Rich and I were interested back in November or so, whenever it came out, they were doing the beta for Star Wars Battlefront 2. We were, okay, let's check it out. That's cool. We discovered very quickly that the way they did it, so now, not only were there microtransactions, there were loot boxes, which I'm going to say outright are the worst version outright whatsoever, because they're randomized, right? So now...
You're just gambling.
Yeah, exactly. So that became a thing, which, by the way, this is sort of a commercial for, at least for my Mapapka talk. If anyone remembers, I'm going to be giving a talk about microtransactions this year at Mapapka, and focusing a bit more on loot boxes because of that fact. Because, some of the states, like Belgium, I believe, and there's a governor in Hawaii, or one of the legislative members in Hawaii was trying to make regulation because it essentially is gambling. Like, there's really no difference, right? You're paying, let's say, $5.
And I'm not against gambling.
Yeah,
let me just put that.
I'm fine with gambling too.
That's bullshit.
But just call it what it is.
I enjoy going to casinos, but the thing is, in a more serious note, is why I have Freud up there, is because if you're a personality who like may have addictive tendencies, then you're going to drop a lot of, like, you probably may be convinced to essentially gamble on a video game for things that don't exist really, like virtual shit.
I've happened across comments where I was like looking for either like where to pick up like new armor or something like that for DCUO, or like something Battlefront related, and they're just like, oh man, I'm excited to come home and like drop $200 and like the next big thing just came out. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Really?
At least when I gamble at casino, I could possibly get real life money back. You know what I mean? I could possibly win something tangible. I get it, but...
Yeah, but you're winning the respect of your peers.
And isn't that worth more?
But nobody's my peer, and I respect nobody, not even you jokers. But
actually, me personally, I think everybody that shows up with the brand new armor that just dropped is an asshole.
Yeah,
they're like, call them out.
They're posers.
Like, fuck you, man.
I mean, it's all funny and all, but again, valid to an extent, I think, because So here was the problem with Battlefront. It was a two-pronged assault, if you will. The fact that because the rewards, even the in-game rewards, were kind of random. So let's say Rich was playing heavy and I was playing sniper. No matter what, we couldn't like outright get upgrades for those two classes specifically. They would just be random and shit. So I get upgrades for like my officer class. Like I never use that. Yeah. What the fuck am I going to do with that?
Your level would slowly be going up.
You know what would make
with a character that you never played.
You know what would make it kind of worth it if you could trade those like between each other.
Yeah, but you couldn't.
That would have been cool.
You couldn't even do that.
You can't.
I want to come back to trading.
Okay.
And real life currency when you guys are done.
Okay,
with
fair enough.
That's
true. That's a good angle. But yeah, so the fact remained then that everyone, very quickly, anyone who played the beta for Battlefront was like, this is a completely fucked system. This makes zero sense. And they wanted you to, like, again, buy crystals with real life money, which then the crystals unlock. Like, it was like another gateway unnecessarily to gamble for shit that you might not even want anyways.
It was like great because every time they would drop a new letter, someone like, no. Like, you guys don't have to worry about people paying money to unlock new stuff. But these new crystals are going to help you unlock the loot boxes that you need.
Yeah, it was so.
And it's just like
stupid.
It's just like $5 for like a small cache of crystals.
Like, it was inconvenient to gamble if you wanted to, but they wanted you to do it as well because that was the only way to advance, really.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of shit. There was the Reddit thing where it blew up in their face, and all the fans it was a huge backlash against EA, which usually deserves it, and in this case definitely did.
Let's fight them.
I would love to.
Yeah, but then by the end they just got rid of any form of buying anything.
They had to because they had no other choice. They were back to a corner. They went too far with such a huge property, with too much of a fan base, too much power to push back, and they were like, okay, we'll back off. But the second they could do it again, like they did, they were going to.
So it's funny because you can't even buy anything with in-game credits anymore because everything's free or unlockable.
So then they went to cosmetic shit, which is fine. Like if you're gonna do it, then at least that's fine because it doesn't change anything. It doesn't unbalance the game.
Small tangent. I'm sorry to do this, but since we're talking so much about EA, did you guys hear all this stuff? A lot of people are giving EA credit because they were anybody who doesn't like the female characters in our
I heard a bit
video games
about
can
that.
go fuck off.
No, it was because
and I'm like, what? Fuck you! Why? Everybody that's giving EA credit does not play EA games because fuck EA. They're the worst.
It was because of the Battlefront 5 thing where it featured a female soldier.
I will say good EA, good that you said that, but also fuck you for everything else that you've done. Video game
does not save all the other bullshit you've ever tried to pull, and they've still been trying to
No, it would have been funny if they were just hey, you could pay an extra $50
to switch off.
Not have any female characters in this game.
That would have been a fucking EA move.
Actually, you know what? I would appreciate that move.
That would have been fucking hilarious.
All you pieces of shit can pay a lot more money to fucking have the game the way you
whatever.
want.
That's funny. I get it, but at the same time, they're infamous for it. They're probably the biggest offender, but certainly other ones are up there. And it just people took it. They're like, no more. We're not going to take this shit. At least for.
And I'm glad it worked for that game. I honestly thought it was going to be an uphill battle, and they were just going to stick to their guns.
Well, that's what I said. Usually they would. They're still sort of defending. Again, they have the bullshit corporate, it's about player choice and blah blah blah. No, it's because you want more money. But the thing I thought was funny, of course, is because the reason that happened is because it was fucking Star Wars, possibly the most popular IP in the world, and they were trying to dick around with their fans. They're not going to stand for that. So anyway,
the first attempt they made to fix it was to make everything more expensive.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we're rebalance the economy. Or you should have no economy. Fuck you. But anyway, so that's sort of my rant. But that was one of the big things that put it in the spotlight. And from that was some of the like I said, the government regulatory stuff that came out when it came to light that you were essentially paying money to gamble. And another thing that within that is that people's kids would go on, right? And spend their credit card. Yeah. They come back with a $2,000 bill. Oh, my kid just bought 1,000 things on Battlefront or whatever game, other games, sports games too, that EA off.
I'm guessing they will at some point get their asses sued off about that like Amazon did. And so Amazon,
one would hope so.
Amazon had to pay a ton of money back to people who could give any kind of credible evidence that their kids bought shit on their Amazon account without their permission.
Sure. So easy to buy shit off Amazon.
Right.
Sure. They want it to be easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And so does EA.
But again, I'm sure
and other publishers
I'm sure at some point in their process they were we're just going to build a bunch of money into this that we can pay back to people because
maybe
we know this is going to happen.
Or there might be no refunds.
I believe Ford developed the Pinto knowing it could kill people and calculated that it would cost less for them to pay off the people.
Well, it's a thing from Fight Club.
Yeah, it's a Fight Club thing. Yeah.
Sure. But, maybe. But nevertheless, they still know they're doing it. And then they know, how they're trying to manipulate people. But they're trying to, of course, they're not going to say that in public. They always have some bullshit, half non-answer, oh, it's for your benefit. It absolutely is not. And it's clear. So,
anyway, Ian.
Let's go on to E to what you were going to talk about earlier.
So I'm going to talk about why free trade is not good.
Okay.
You said that it would be better if you can trade items in Battlefield. Exhibit A.
Not better, but at least not
Exhibit
as worse
A,
as
World of Warcraft around the era of Wrath of the Lich King, which is the last I played of it.
Mm-hmm.
You could give $20 to a Chinese prison gold farm to get a certain amount of goods delivered to you by another character through trade.
Holy shit, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was fucked
Obviously, because you're so worried about the capitalists that you hate so much that you don't realize that that free trade funnels to the cartels.
I think capitalism is fine, just not when they're trying to shove it in my face. Go on.
You're right. It should be. No, but that's the thing. It's I think prior to a lot of these things, this was the original market for.
You're right. That's a very good point. That's pretty much
EA
true.
probably looked at it why are these Chinese prisons making all the money.
Oh man, yeah.
Well, we could
like,
do
that's a good idea.
Exactly.
Like, possibly. That's a very good point, though, because that sort of space was like, it's not quite the dark web, but it's like
You could buy a level 60 level
whatever character you want with whatever legendary equipment and bullshit. Yeah, yeah.
Pay 100, 120 bucks, whatever the price was.
It was like
it
was like a gray market, I guess I'll call it, right?
Yeah.
There's no like official regular, like not a standard thing, but people started springing up. They're like, hey, like you said, pay $20 and we'll farm some gold for you or
You'd
whatever.
Be walking
I had
along
friends
and someone would send you a message being, hey, I got this deal if you want.
I had friends of mine sell their characters that they had built up for like months, playing like 8 hours a day for like $1,000 or more. You know, like just people were willing to spend a lot of money on that shit. And I'm sure there was a lot of farming like going on. And, like,
yeah, there absolutely was.
You know, you just have Chinese people come in every day.
Or wherever.
They haven't a lot of China or like
Korea.
Yeah, Korea, whatever.
They would have prisoners doing this.
Yeah. And they would just make money, and they just make money off of that.
Sure, man. And so,
I'm surprised it didn't happen in America.
That is capitalism in action.
It probably did.
To an extent. Yeah, so there were certainly gray markets and so forth that existed because of that sprung up to like fulfill like a sort of like a need, or in a sense like a demand at least for the sphere of video games, which is funny, but it's certainly again valid because it's what happened. And I don't know if we have those necessarily to blame or thank for microtransactions, but I think they certainly influenced it to an extent, or influenced the inclusion of them.
An emergent idea that develops from any time money can be made off of it. So again, when you add trade, someone's going to find a way. Like even if it's like World of Warcraft initially, which had just about perhaps even swapping like coppers for what is this item. Now you can I could add actual money into this, and I think that Battlefront you do that, especially if they have rare items. There's going to be money involved.
Or whatever. It's like the purple star cards, whatever the hell they were, Rich. Whatever, like the higher upgrades were. But you're right. Sure.
So absolutely. The question is what's worse, Chinese prison labor or EA?
Both. Okay. They're both equally bad.
Equally?
I think. Not equally, but they both should stop doing what they're doing. How about I'll say it that way?
I think that's fair.
They should do away with both of those things. But yeah, man, like it's just I personally I don't think I've bought anything like cosmetically wise for sure. I don't think. But I haven't engaged in a lot of microtransactions, but nevertheless, they're still shoved in my face a lot. Assassin's Creed, for sure. Ubisoft was guilty of that, in at least, if not Origins, the one before it. So, like, I just found it super annoying. And that's the thing. As we brought up in the beginning, I think you did, Steve, all that. The only ones who think this is a good idea are pretty much the publishers. Like, nobody asked for this, right?
Right.
Outright. So maybe they, again, going back to your example, maybe they did ask for that gray market kind of sphere, but no one's like, hey, you know what would be good if a game like tried to shove transactions in my face like every 5 minutes. That'd be cool.
If I paid $60 for a game and then they wanted more money from me, that would be great.
Yeah,
that's what I would love.
That's what I want from the industry. Yeah. So yeah, man, it's just super grating, and I just wish they weren't as greedy, but that's like, I don't know, the nature of humanity, man, I suppose.
Yeah, I feel like they've quieted down in recent times.
Well, you know why? Because
of Battlefront.
Exactly. Yeah. And other things like it. But yeah, because there was a huge backlash. And now they're they might be cowed because of government, like, again, regulations coming in, even though the ESRB itself had like a wishy-washy statement, like a lukewarm, like defense, not a defense, but like, we're going to look into it. Like, that's what everybody says. We're looking into we hear your concerns and we're going to change. But that never really happens unless it gets enough pushback and they're going to lose more money. It's like the reverse of the recall example, right? Not removing microtransactions is going to be like, the backlash against us is going to cost us more money, so we might as well remove them at this point. But that only works, again, for things like Battlefront or like big properties. You still see them, certainly in other games, for sure. So, I don't know, man, I do see what you, like, agree to an extent what you just said, Rich. I don't think we're seeing as much because of that, which is a good thing, but it's just sucked that it took like so much to get to this point.
I think it's a
where
slight
they're sort of
pause,
backing away.
Though. I think it's a pause.
They want you to forget.
They're reevaluating how to like.
Yeah, that's what they
best
claim.
Sell these microtransactions. I'm sure.
Right, they're going to try
putting a better face on it.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to see how can we best manipulate you
Put
without
some lipstick on this pig.
Yeah, without it being so blatant.
It's probably going to break. It's going to break my heart when they do this, but it's probably going to be with God of War.
Yeah, you think so?
I don't think so.
In my heart, I don't think so.
I think they might stand tall on that. Like, I think they're sort of like not in the same boat as the other like offending publishers that we were just talking about.
We'll see.
But hopefully not.
I'd be
But
scared if they did.
if they do, it'd probably just still be cosmetic shit, right?
Yeah.
I would think.
Hopefully.
And that's, by and large, I'm okay with that kind of stuff. It's
So
not
right now,
that
the new
bad.
DLC they're coming out with is going to be free. And
That's solid.
Well, yeah.
on them, too.
So they said initially on that game that they weren't going to do any DLC.
It's
They're
New Game
doing
Plus.
a
Yeah,
new
it's New
game
Game
plus because a lot of people asked for it.
Yeah, and that's
which
cool too.
I'm fine with that. Like,
And it's a free thing, right? Just a
Yeah.
free update. You don't have to pay for it.
right.
So that's fine. So yeah, like hopefully, maybe like I don't think this is a good thing either. But if like outside entities, like government, so forth, like gambling regulation things come in and start like regulating the games, then maybe that'll force them to stop doing it so much. It's not cool that they have to come to that point, but if that's what it takes, then okay.
Sorry, the government's just going to take over and start selling loot boxes.
Government, IRS tax boxes,
Yeah.
loot tax boxes.
Boxes. Yeah. 1 out of every 1,000 loot boxes doesn't have to pay taxes.
Sounds like a fine gamble to me, I guess. But no, man, again, like I said, that is the worst example to me. The loot boxes themselves. Even like way above and beyond like the normal microtransactions that you might see. Because you, at least if you want like to get an extra gun, like, okay, I want the best sniper rifle, I'll pay $6 for it. For loot box, you're like, maybe I'll get that, or maybe I get some shit I don't even want or will ever use.
Yeah.
back to DCUO, like they have, they're called the. I forgot what they're called. They're these like time capsules.
Yeah.
Or phase capsules.
Sure.
But like you basically have to gamble. Like you'll have rare items that you can get, but you have to gamble to get the ingredients that you have to put together to get those rare
it's a
items.
fucking Rube Goldberg gamble,
Yeah.
like essentially.
So like it took me,
Which is
like
annoying.
I'd actually run out of capsules. I'd actually run out of capsules trying to collect this armor set that I wanted.
Yeah, see?
And like it wasn't until they re-released them, I still didn't get the
Yeah,
last
see,
piece
it's
that I
fucking
needed.
terrible.
Until finally, like I went to the trade, the auction
Whatever
center.
it was, yeah.
the auction center, and like found out somebody was selling the plans and shit for that. So I'm just like, I'm just gonna drop my in-game cash on this, walk away, and
Be done. Yeah.
never fucking do these things again.
Yeah, I feel you. So yeah, hopefully we'll see like maybe a bit of a positive switch towards less egregious offense. But I'm not. Yeah, exactly.
Don't count on it.
I'm not hopeful about it, but it'd be nice. And again, if there's enough maybe pushback, if we keep getting on, if all the consumers and the gamers like remain adamant about
Stalwarts.
about pushing back against this shit, then maybe the industry will step back about
Somebody
it.
needs to start circulating. Never forget.
Yeah. Just a picture of Battlefront, like when it originally had the loot boxes.
Yeah.
And to be like, remember this? Don't let it happen again. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, man. So like I said, I've been treating this episode as sort of like a precursor, like outline to my talk that I'm going to give. But still, I think it's a pretty timely topic in the industry, and we're still things come out of it. And the E3 just happened, which we'll be covering in shortly, couple weeks or so.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully, we won't have to do a follow-up video to this.
Exactly, but or if we do one, maybe be like, "Hey, we finally made a difference, and there's no more microtransactions."
Or it'll be like, hey, this is the darkest timeline. We're here.
Yeah,
Games are only microtransactions.
exactly. It's probably like, yeah,
This is the darkest timeline.
it's certainly a darker one.
Yeah.
It's on the darker path. But yeah, man, it's just hopefully we'll see some kind of balancing act, or at least, you know what, maybe EA is going to keep doing their EA thing and other publishers like them, but
Sure.
we might see some like more indie ones or ones that are just more friendly and open about it. Like, yep, that's not us. Like you said about the God of War thing,
Yeah.
right? And other pubs like it. So that'd be cool too. So maybe they can be like, hey, one of our selling points is we don't have microtransactions, which again is sort of a sad thing, but at least it's something.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You can trust us. We only want your money once.
Yeah. Or at least we're upfront about it.
Yeah. We'll tell you when
Maybe in the future, you know what? Maybe the worst thing is where I go into a game store, like an online storefront, and I gamble for what fucking game I buy. Here's $60. Maybe I'll get the new Far Cry, or maybe you'll get some shit you hate. And then I'll have to go to the gray market to trade my games around and shit, and it'll be a fucking nightmare. Be dystopia. But hopefully it won't come to that point. And I will definitely be following, keeping an eye on the trends and what's happening, because we'll see between, in 6 months from now or so, when the big, Christmas time games, like the shopping holiday season games start dropping. Like Battlefront is definitely coming out, which is EA, and other things too. Like Microsoft is doing Halo and
Spider-Man.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I'm curious to see whether or
Fallout
not
76 already has microtransactions. all set
exactly,
up.
which is not a cool sign.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll just have to yeah, we'll still support the ones that aren't assholes about it. And if we must be forced to play games that do have them, avoid them as much as possible. Or at least that's what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
So, any final thoughts other than fuck microtransactions, pretty much?
Nope. Fuck microtransactions.
What is Battlefront down to nowadays?
How do you?
I have no idea. I think it's like $24.
Yeah,
I want to say that
it's gotta
on
be at this
sale
point.
now on PS4 at least. So
It was like
if
like
if
28.
you're dying out there to get it, it's on sale.
It's
They're
like
trying to make money on
27 or
the back end.
28.
Yeah, they're trying to. They're trying
Once
to
they
like,
get this microtransactions going again, they'll be good.
or maybe we can pay in installments. Like, hey, I'll give you $6 for 1/6 of the game or whatever.
It's like the equivalent of somebody with like a coat full of Battlefront copies just standing around a corner.
Yeah,
Hey,
pretty
stranger.
much. Yeah, got some nice Battlefront copies here. Sure, that's funny as hell. But I think that'll do it for now. Yeah, again, depending on what happens and what changes, we might have to do another episode about it down the line. But that's sort of where it stands for now, and certainly our opinions on them. And just don't get sucked in. Or if you are, like, do your research. Be aware of what a game has and what it offers. And if you think it's worth it, then okay, no problem. But just be wary about them.
Okay.
Keep an eye. Keep an eye on them.
Don't get sucked in, but a sucker's born every minute.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's well said. I can't really say anything else to end off, so I think that we'll sign off with that. I've been Scott Thurlow, of course, here with Rich Perry,
Have a good night.
Jonathan Manzer.
You know what I hated back in the day? The microtransaction from Bank of America. Terrible.
Yeah, good one. Nice sense, Stephen Amosi.
Oh, man. Good. Okay, bye.
See you next time. Thank you for joining the Lost Signals Games and Gaming Culture. Check us out on YouTube and iTunes for the shows and more, and on Facebook and Twitter for updates.